What's up? Jeff from the Retro Arcade Gaming YouTube channel. For those returning viewers, the website no longer exists, and I'm back with a brand new edition of Port Battles. I took a bit of a break from YouTube, deactivated the channel. In doing so, I lost all of my subscribers. Having said that, this will be the one and only time I'll ask you to hit the subscribe button if you like the content on this channel. If not, cool deal. Move along. I've uploaded most of my old content. I'll be remaking a few, and I actually lost a few. Most notably, my look at 66 homebrew ports and clones for the iconic game Pac-Man. May take me a while to get up the strength to remake that one. Presently, the channel features two content types: Jeff Plays, where I play a random game of my choosing, and Port Battles, where we look at a specific classic arcade game and see how well or poorly it's been ported to various home consoles and computer systems over the years. Our featured Port Battle this week is the Konami classic Scramble from 1981. Scramble is a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up that has you take control of a space fighter to destroy enemy bases. The space fighter can fire shots straight ahead or launch missiles, bombs down toward the ground. It implements a refueling mechanism, so you have to continually destroy fuel tanks in order to keep progressing. As the History of Konami Arcade Classics book says, the combination of simple gameplay and tough level design offers players an exciting challenge. It's also said to be the starting point of the Gradius series. I absolutely loved this game when it was released. Still think the challenge holds up well to this day. Unfortunately, as much as I love the game, I absolutely suck at it. I will die, regardless of the port, in almost the exact same spot every time. I can generally make it through the first level of 5, not including the base, and then almost immediately get killed towards the start of level 2. If you came for stellar gameplay, and you've heard this before, you might want to look elsewhere. To kick things off, let's take a look at the original arcade release of Scramble via MAME. Scramble is a bit unique in that it didn't see a whole lot of love back in the day from a home console standpoint. It wasn't until a bit later that the homebrew scene took a better look at the beloved classic. One of the original releases was for the, I don't know if you say this Tomi or Tommy, the Tomi Tutor in 1982 by Tomi themselves. The Tutor was an early home computer, similar but not identical to the Texas Instruments TI-99 4A, and was released in the UK, Japan, and the US in 1982. It went by the name Puta in Japan, I probably butchered that, and Grandstand Tutor in the UK. Here's a look at Scramble on the Tutor. The awesome GCE Vectrex got a Scramble port in 1982, released by GCE themselves. While it lacks the colors and visual flair of the original, it's a great little port for the GCE Vectrex. The TRS-80 color computer got a clone in 1982 from Spectral Associates entitled Whirlybird Run. This is actually, the version I'm playing is actually a patched version of the release, which gives it a bit more appealing color palette. The TRS-80 also saw a clone entitled Penetrator, which we'll look at next on a different system. This is Whirlybird Run, an RGB patched version for the TRS-80 color computer. So, I'm an American, where we pronounce the letter Z as just that, Z. In Britain, apparently it's Z. Anyway, our next release is for the ZX Spectrum, as us Americans might call it, or the ZX Spectrum, which I'm told is actually correct, as the British might call it. And it's the Penetrator clone mentioned above. It was released in 1982 by Melbourne House. Also saw a release besides the TRS-80 on the Commodore 64. Spectral also had clones by Microgen entitled Scramble, spelled just like the arcade release. Harrier Attack by Durrell Software, which wasn't necessarily a clone, but borrowed heavily from the Scramble gameplay, and Cavern Fighter by Bug Bite. Here's Penetrator for the ZX Spectrum. The Commodore VIC-20 got a clone in 1982 entitled Scramble, spelled with a K instead of a C. This was released by Rabbit Software and only appears to allow you one life before the game just resets and starts over. The NEC PC 8001 got a port, and I use that term somewhat loosely, in 1982 by Koichi Nakamura. This one was difficult for me to play as it uses keyboard controls only. There are also some reports of a PC 6001 port floating around. I couldn't find it, couldn't get my hands on it. This is Scramble for the NEC PC 8001. The Commodore 64 got a clone in 1983 called Scramble, again, spelled with a K instead of a C. It was released by Anirog Software. That's A-N-I-R-O-G. We'll also take a look at a little better Commodore 64 release a bit later. The Game Boy Advance got a release via the compilation Konami Collector's Series Arcade Advanced in 2002. Konami themselves released this compilation. It features 6 Konami arcade games, including Scramble, Frogger, Gyrus, Russian Attack, and Ye Are Kung Fu. Here's a look at the original unaltered version, then we'll take a look at a little different version. That same compilation on the Game Boy Advance includes a hidden bonus. If you enter the Konami code, say it with me, up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, at the Scramble title screen, you can play the game with updated or enhanced graphics. Here's a look. In Japan, Hamster released a series of 19 classic arcade games for the PlayStation 2 via the Game Center family, which is how it translates. The name is Oretachi Gessen Zoku. Probably butchered that completely. Anyway, Scramble was featured in Volume 1. Here's a look at that release. The Nintendo DS saw a release via the compilation Konami Classics Series Arcade Hits in 2007. This title features 15 Konami arcade classics, including Scramble, Tutankhamun, Huyen, Time Pilot, Track and Field, Rock and Rope, Super Basketball, Circus Charlie, Road Fighter, Twin Bee, Ye Are Kung Fu, Shaolin's Road, Gradius, Russian Attack, and Contra. So I thought the episode was a wrap at this point, and then I went down the rabbit hole of looking for Scramble homebrews. Seems that after 2012, Scramble became quite a popular release in the homebrew scene. I'll chalk that up to probably never getting a proper release on many consoles. Up first, let's take a look at the TI Scramble for the Texas Instruments TI-99 4A, released by Rasmus Moostgaard in 2013. Sorry if I butchered your name, Rasmus.
Ready to start.
In 2015, an excellent homebrew was coded for the Atari 2600 by John Champeau. You might not recognize John by name, but if you've watched previous episodes, you know I have a favorite when it comes to classic arcade games done right for MS-DOS. Cham Programming released some awesome arcade ports for MS-DOS. John is the guy behind Cham Programming. Here's a look at his Scramble release for the Atari 2600, which is very well done. In 2015, a Scramble Homebrew was released for the Commodore 64. This was released by Thomas Kite. You might see him online in forums as user Tom K. The graphics, a bit more refined than the 1983 clone we looked at earlier, and the frame rate is silky smooth. A homebrew was released for the Nintendo Entertainment System in 2017 by Con Games. Kevin Hanley, the man behind Con Games. The homebrew in cartridge form is currently listed as sold out on the Con Games website. Here's a look at it anyway. Homebrew was released in 2018 for the Atari 5200. Found this one on the Atari Age forums. It was offered up by user Playsoft, also known as Paul Lay. If you play with the non-centering 5200 joysticks, you'll definitely want to select the option for wide tunnels. Mike Langer took the 5200 homebrew and converted it for the Atari 8-bit systems in 2018. This one I also found on the Atari Age forums. Puzz CPC released a homebrew for the Amstrad Color PC in 2019. Very nice looking port for the Amstrad Color PC. Finally, Konami released the Konami Arcade Classics Anniversary Collection for PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and Steam in 2019. Digital only release and features Haunted Castle, Typhoon, Gradius, Gradius 2, Life Force, Thundercross, Twin Bee, and obviously Scramble. Today, we're taking a look at Scramble from the collection via Steam. So that wraps it up. Our look at Scramble, ports, clones, and homebrews. A few notable omissions. There's an MSX clone entitled Scramble with a K. I couldn't get it to work. I could get it to load. The game started and then it just froze. I used about 4 different copies of the game. It did the same thing at each point. There's a version available for the Xbox 360, Xbox One via the Xbox Live Arcade. Having just spent $20 on the Anniversary Collection on Steam, I really didn't want to spend any more money for another copy of Scramble that I would only play a handful of times. If it follows past practice, it's probably about $4, $3.95 probably. I just couldn't justify spending the $4 because I'm never going to play it. I would imagine it's based on the emulator, looks exactly like the original Scramble, and probably features an updated graphics release as well. Finally, a homebrew is available for the Atari 7800. It was developed by Robert D. Crescenzo and is only available via Atari Age at this time. It's $30 for the game in cartridge format, including a 4-page manual. So with that, we're back. I'm looking forward to creating new content. As always, if you have a suggestion for a game you'd like to see featured, whether it's a Jeff Plays or a port battle, feel free to drop it in the comments below. Until next time, happy gaming. Peace.